Happy New Year's, everyone. It is 2025. If you're listening, that means you made it. We are back from a holiday break. I hope you had a great Christmas. Happy New Year's. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. I hope everything was good for you over the holidays. Hope you're safe. Hope you're sound. Hope you're cozy. If you're on the East Coast, it is extremely cold. And if you're in California, specifically LA, Los Angeles, thoughts and prayers. I hope you're safe. I hope your home wasn't destroyed by the fires. That's a really tragic situation. And I hope that gets contained and we can start the recovery process as soon as possible. Now, today's episode is going to be about the TikTok ban that is still happening. That's right. The TikTok ban that was announced last year is happening this year and it's happening in 10 days from when I record this video. 9 days from when I post it. So here's the thing about the TikTok ban. The TikTok ban is controversial because really what they're getting accused of is China getting data. And in my opinion, and from what I'm reading, the data that TikTok is getting from its users is no different than Facebook or Meta, so that's Facebook and Instagram, and then also X. TikTok's not doing anything more, anything less, which should mean that it should stay on Apple Store or app stores in America and it shouldn't be gone. But clearly there's an agenda being pushed for TikTok to be out there. So the way I see it is that it's going to be banned. There was rumors that one of the guys from Shark Tank was going to buy it. The fact that TikTok came out and said that it's going to be banned on January 19th unless the Supreme Court postpones the decision or reverses it means that they said no to that. No one's going to buy it. We're keeping it. And it's just going to be banned in the U.S. Now, can TikTok survive being banned in the U.S.? I don't know. That is a huge, and I mean a huge consumer base just gone overnight, right? Despite the U.S. not having the biggest population, all the countries, not saying it doesn't have a big population, but not the biggest in the world, it does have some of the average deepest pockets that people are willing to spend anyway. Even if they don't have it, they're willing to spend, whether it's on coins, whether it's on clothes, whatever it may be, especially with TikTok having the TikTok store and everything like that. Now, I haven't used TikTok in a while, but like in years, but from what I know a lot of people are loving it, a lot of people are using it for various purposes, especially when a lot of global disasters happen. A lot of people like to use TikTok for educational purposes and as a resource for educational purposes. And when you take stuff like TikTok out, all those users have to flood somewhere, which is where the agenda, in my opinion, comes in. Because look what happened when Vine closed down. When Vine closed down, all those creators, and when I mean the audience and the population, I don't just mean the consumers. Mostly I'm talking about the creators, because the consumers already live on multiple platforms, and at the end of the day, they'll be okay. Because all the TikToks you see are getting repurposed to Instagram Reels, to Twitter, to YouTube Shorts. Like they're getting placed all over the place. So you'll be fine there. The creators though will have to migrate somewhere else, right? I'm not talking about your Charli D'Amelio's and they'll be fine. They're already bigger than TikTok. They're done. They used what they needed from TikTok. They got what they needed from it. Gone. And TikTok got what they needed from them. Done. You'll see those creators, just like the creators on Vine, start to migrate to YouTube, start to go full-time on Instagram Reels, start to go full-time on Twitter. Especially since Twitter, from what I remember, or X, still pay people for engagement and stuff, I believe. So that's still an avenue for creators to get money and to grow. So you're going to see a huge migration of creators go to these different platforms and flood it, just like Vine. A lot of them will not make it. I'm telling you right now, the discoverability on TikTok is insane. It is insane. There's nothing like it. There's nothing quite like it, right? If you have a platform where 10,000 followers / subscribers don't really mean as much, that shows you how heavy the discoverability is on said platform. 10K on YouTube does not weigh the same as 10K on TikTok. It just doesn't, right? So YouTube is a whole different beast. It is a grind. It is a grind. You're competing with the entire world on YouTube. TikTok, there is crossover, but not nearly as much as YouTube. YouTube, you can really, and I mean really, you're competing against thousands upon millions of people. The grind is real, because not even just a competition, it's also how much of your following base is going to transfer over to the other platforms. Not many. It's a lot harder than you think. It's a lot harder than you think for the average creator. Another thing is, are you willing to put in the work of creating thumbnails, right? Of recording videos on an actual camera of some kind, whether it's a webcam like I do sometimes, or whether it is your actual DSLR. Like, are you willing to buy and put in work to get because that means you need lighting, you need a microphone. Like, there's a lot of things you'll need in order to go from TikTok to YouTube. Yes, you can use your phone, and people, there's nothing wrong with using your phone. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of work that's going to have to go into being big on YouTube. Because yes, YouTube Shorts is definitely there. They're definitely going to, especially with if TikTok does finally get banned, YouTube Shorts will definitely do their damnness to tweak the algorithm a little bit, or whatever they got to do to make sure that YouTube Shorts explodes channels and gives people opportunities to help entice people to go to YouTube Shorts versus going to IG Reels primarily, right? So you're going to see a big race to see which platform supports short form content the most, because that's where these TikTokers are going to go. So you'll see that. I wouldn't be surprised if X has a new tab that's like X Reels or whatever they want to call it. That's just basically a glorified TikTok, IG Reels, YouTube Shorts page on X. That's coming. I guarantee you, January 20th, you'll see it. Maybe not that soon, but like you'll see it eventually this year. I'd bet my money on it. Now, the question is, should TikTok be banned? That's another question people have been asking. In my opinion, no, because it hasn't done anything yet that we know of that other apps are not doing. If anything, there's more apps that are way older than TikTok that are more egregious in what people are accusing TikTok for, and they're not getting held accountable. So why should TikTok? It's only because it's owned by China or has like Chinese ties, right? So that's what's really going on. There's a lot of political play and business play and agendas being pushed here. That's just not even conspiracy or theory. That's just facts. That's what's going on. It's very clear. So, should it be banned? I don't think so. Will it be banned? I think so. Now, it depends if Donald Trump really has ties with China. If Donald Trump really does have ties with China, that's a tongue twister right there. If he does, I can see him reversing the ban himself or whatever, for some kind of favor, right? I can see that happening. Now, will even the Republicans like that? I think, I don't know. It really just depends on what kind of move, like what kind of timing he's on with that, right? But I do think TikTok's gonna get banned. I do think that promises were made, especially how some of these social media heads were pushing for Donald Trump in the election. I really do think promises or at least assurances were made about either TikTok being owned by an American company or being destroyed, or at least banned, so that they can dominate that market. Because all of them have short form content available on their platforms. If they can ban a competitor, that's a huge amount of not only creators, but their fans. They're going to follow them to these different platforms, the big ones, So, but at the same token, I do have a very big issue with short form content. I do, and that's not just TikTok exclusive though. But TikTok is egregious with this and has changed it for the worse. What do I mean by that? I said it before a couple of times. Short form content has killed attention spans, man. And in some ways have killed certain creativity. While short form content is creative. I'll give it that, because you have to. I mean true short form now. The 2 5 minute 10 minute thing is on now. True short form content has definitely to fit comedy or story arcs or some of the things that I've seen over the last like 6 years. To fit that in 1 minute, like on some Vine stuff, is very beautiful. It's really cool and it's very creative. Now, but the fact that short form content has been crowned king, and that people can't finish movies, can't finish TV shows, can't finish like maximum short films, can't maximum time short films, can't finish just certain tasks without being like the attention span has gotten worse, and short form content in my opinion is definitely a huge factor into that. It's not making it better, I'll tell you that much. At least it's not making it anywhere better. And I think that some of the virality that comes with it, the discoverability that can come with short form content, has made online miserable, has made the digital space very miserable, has made society worse. Because I'm telling you, you can't go outside without someone trying to make a TikTok. You can't go outside without people trying to inconvenience others. It's like that phase of what peak, and I don't mean peak by this is amazing. No, I mean peak as in a literal peak of those prank videos. When prank YouTube videos were a thing, that wasn't a short form content, but when that was a thing and people were just inconveniencing others and just destroying people's peace in public spaces, when that was a thing, like that is kind of like what TikTok, or like at least short form content, has now done, where it's like people disrupt public space and disrupt lives because of trying to chase that viral moment. And that's the internet itself has done that. That's not a TikTok exclusive, but because of the discoverability, because of the ability to get viral through short form content, like what the platform of TikTok represents, it is a huge problem. And why? So I don't really necessarily mean that needs to be banned, but I do think there needs to be a lot of locks in place, but that's across the board. I think, and I think Florida has implemented this or is about to implement it this year, and I think it should be a federal thing, or at least it should be, it should be federal, it should be state to state, but it should definitely be something that's regulated and something that should be in the focus, because we're in the future, we're on the precipice of digital media taking another leap, right? And I think that we need to start putting bans on it for people who are under the age of like 16. The reason, or at least 15 younger, excuse me, 15 or younger. Because to me, short form content, like the things that are on a lot of these sites, kids should not be exposed to at all. I'm a firm believer in letting kids be kids, and let them consume kid content. For the most part, like if everyone's gonna have a phone, let them consume kid content. Like it's different from back one day when I was a kid, and you play your M-rated games, you watch your R-rated movies here and there, because that wasn't the norm. I didn't have that access to that in my pocket where I can just pull it out and I can just see titties on my phone and shit. Like that wasn't like something that I was like when I was like 10 years old consuming. Like that's not. I don't have access to. I never had like access to like just Pornhub in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have access to like all these really adult themed things in my pocket. Right? There was a process to it. If I wanted to buy Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, right, when I was a kid, I had to go I couldn't go buy it myself. I had to go ask my parents, use their money, go to the store, and they had to buy it, and the employee had to tell them this is not for kids. My parents either said yeah or nay, right? Whole different process. Or I had older siblings, so I just, they got it, and I just, got from them. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't have it in the pocket of I didn't have like access to the world in my bag or in my pocket, right? It wasn't access to my fingertips to like Google anything I want. So like the exposure and what's happening is definitely very real, and it's definitely something that to be taken seriously. Also, media literacy needs to be taught in schools. I keep saying this, and not just in college. It should be taught at all levels, because it's something that is integrated into society to the point now where children know a lot more about technology than some of the people who grew up building the stuff. So there needs to be classes where media literacy is taught so it can help people prepare so that when you do turn 15, 16, and you pass that threshold, and now you can get social media, you know what you're doing. You know how to defend yourself. You know clickbait versus non-clickbait. You know misinformation from the information that's out there. You know how to find credible sources. You know who to follow. You know what to look for. You know how not to spend your money or at least your parents' money frivolously. Like there's so many things that are targeted towards weaker minds on social media that having kids on these apps is not the best idea. I know I sound old and kids are gonna hate that, but hey, there's so much more to life, and that's another thing, bro. There's so much more to life than what's in your phone, brother and sister. There's so much. Oh man, I can't go on social media. Go play with your friends. You don't need social media like that. You go get your friend's number. Go get a girl's number from the old school way, I guess. Now, you approach a girl in your class, you ask her out. You ask for her phone number, right? Remember when you're my age or older? Remember when exchanging phone numbers were landlines? Remember we had to call someone's house, and God forbid their dad picked up. Your girl's dad picked up. You had to have that awkward conversation with that man. You know, like it built people to be different. You don't got that anymore. Now you can just send DMs and all this and that. It's so different, man. It doesn't need to be that way. There's certain rites of passage that needs to happen. Social media has taken from people. Now you have kids growing up rude as shit. You have adults who are illiterate media wise, and it's just a whole cluster, and it's disgusting stuff. And TikTok, Instagram, Meta, like a lot of things fed into it. So I'll say all that to say, that's a huge tangent, but I still think it's relevant to like the answer of should TikTok be banned? How do I feel about TikTok, etc., etc. I don't think it's fair, but at the end of the day, this is something that anyone could have seen coming if you know how the U.S. businesses, big businesses work. TikTok grew and blew up because of the pandemic. If the pandemic didn't happen, TikTok would be big, but would not be nearly as big as it is now. Because what quarantine / the lockdown has done for everyone around the world who participated in it is it gave people unlimited time through that finite window of when things were like lockdown, and people were unemployed or let go and stuff, where they had infinite time to create and consume content. And that boosted TikTok to levels never seen before. I promise you, if YouTube Shorts was a thing before TikTok, if they seen it coming before TikTok, then YouTube would have blown up to site like YouTube's growth and the money that YouTube would have made, Google would have made, would have been insane. It would have been batshit crazy. Same thing for a Meta. So it's one of those perfect little things. And there's been theories out there. Crazy. I think they're crazy, really far-fetched theories about COVID and TikTok. Like how there's a little bit too much of a coincidence that this COVID thing happened, and then a Chinese owned company of TikTok happened, or ByteDance, and TikTok happens, and it's kind of a perfect storm, and it gives this Chinese company billions of dollars almost overnight. You know? So that's theory. That's not a theory I believe in. That's not a theory I created. That's just something I saw out there, which was that was insane to me. But hey, I'm always here for a good theory or two. So yeah, those are really my thoughts on the whole TikTok ban situation. I mean, at the end of the day, will the Supreme Court turn it over? No, because it's not in America's best interests. Like it's just not in America's best interest. And I think if they were going to do it, they would have done it already. Like we're past that time. So it's going to get banned. It just really depends on when Trump gets into office. Does he care to do something about it? And at the same time, if you are an American citizen that did not vote for Donald Trump, how do you feel about Donald Trump saving TikTok for you? That's interesting, because you can use the app to badmouth him all you want, but if he saves TikTok, you owe him. Not owe him. You don't really don't, but you do owe him. So it's like how you feel about continuing using the app that Donald Trump saved, if he does indeed save it. Like, how does it make you? And that's not me trying to guilt trip anybody. I'm just genuinely curious for people who really detest Donald Trump. I just want to know how it feels to use an app that he saved. Similar to people who swear up and down they hate Elon Musk, but at the same time, they're saying that through tweets on X. Right? So I'm like, you hate him, but you're actively using his platform and giving him more money and especially making content. So it's like, how do you really hate the brother, or like, what do you say? So those are some of the things I think are interesting from this whole conversation. If nothing else, is those conversations. I think those are the conversations that need to be had. And that's why I can't take protesting certain things seriously, because I need to see certain actions within your actions. If I don't see that, then you're unserious to me. But yeah, TikTok ain't banned. I just don't know. Comment below. Let me know what you think on the TikTok ban. How much do you use TikTok? How much of your livelihood do you feel like, because as the way people are talking about this ban for certain people, they really make it sound like they're addicted to TikTok. Like, they make it sound like someone's cutting off their dope supply and now they need to go find a new dealer or else they're going to die. Like, and that's the kind of thing that I feel like is very scary about this era that we're living in with cell phones and social media apps, is that it is a legitimate addiction. It is a legitimate addiction. This is someone who makes content, right? Like, you're listening to a podcast on an app right now. So it is going to sound hypocritical, but because I make content, because I do things like this, I have a unique perspective, right? And I can say that, okay, this is this thing I'm making, and it's something I think about all the time. I hate what apps and phones are doing to people, yet I actively make work that makes them come back to these apps in order to consume my work. So I'm part of the problem. But how can I be part of the solution is how I think about all the time. So, like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you for tuning in. Again, this is the first episode of the new year. I am very grateful, very thankful. Let's tackle this year strong. Peace.